The lights go quiet, the crowd grows restless, and a small blind boy from the Philippines walks onto the biggest stage in America with nothing but a trembling voice and a dream no one expects to come true. What happens next leaves Simon Cowell completely speechless and changes this boy's life forever. If stories of hope, talent, and unbelievable twists inspire you, subscribe now and stay with us, because this is not just a performance, it's a miracle in sound. When the doors of America's Got Talent opened that night in 2025, no one in the audience imagined they were about to witness a moment that would be talked about for years. The stage lights shone brightly, the judges took their seats, and the crowd buzzed with excitement. Contestants from all over the world had already performed that day, some good, some forgettable, and a few impressive. But nothing prepared anyone for the next name called by the announcer. A young boy stepped forward slowly, guided carefully by a staff member. He held a white cane in his hand, his eyes unfocused but calm. He was blind, visibly nervous, and very small compared to the massive stage around him. His name was Daniel Cruz, a 12-year-old boy from a poor fishing village in the Philippines. Daniel's story did not begin on a stage. It began in a tiny wooden house near the sea, where the sound of waves crashing against broken boats was part of daily life. He was born blind due to complications at birth, and from the very beginning, life treated him harshly. His father was a fisherman who earned barely enough to feed the family, and his mother sold vegetables in the local market. They had no money for special schools, no money for medical treatment, and no connections. But Daniel had something rare. He had a voice that could stop time. As a child, Daniel learned the world through sound. He memorized the rhythm of footsteps, the creak of doors, and the distant hum of radios playing old songs. Music became his escape. When his father returned from the sea exhausted and empty-handed, Daniel would sing to lift his spirits. When storms destroyed their fishing nets, Daniel sang to give hope. Neighbors began to notice that when the boy sang, even the noise of the village seemed to quiet down. One day, a volunteer teacher visited the village and heard Daniel sing during a small community gathering. She was shocked by the depth, emotion, and control in such a young voice. She recorded him on her phone and shared the video online. Slowly, the clip reached people far beyond the village. Someone suggested America's Got Talent. At first, it sounded impossible. How could a blind boy from a poor Filipino village travel to America? But kindness has a way of opening doors. Donations poured in, paperwork was handled by volunteers, and months later, Daniel found himself on a plane for the first time in his life, holding his mother's hand and shaking with fear and excitement. Now, standing on the AGT stage, Daniel could feel the size of the room by the echo of his own breathing. Terry Crews asked him a few simple questions. Daniel spoke softly, explaining where he was from and why he came. When Terry asked what his dream was, Daniel answered honestly. He said he wanted to prove that blindness was not the end of a dream, and he wanted to build a better life for his parents. The audience applauded warmly, but Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Simon asked Daniel what song he would sing. Daniel paused for a moment, took a deep breath, and said the name of a classic song that many considered risky. Some in the audience exchanged worried glances. Singing a well-known song could either make or break him. Simon raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. He warned Daniel that the song had been performed many times before. Daniel nodded respectfully and simply said he would sing it his way. The music began softly. At first, Daniel stood still, gripping his cane. Then he opened his mouth and sang the first note. Instantly, the room changed. His voice was pure, rich, and filled with emotion far beyond his years. It was not loud, but it was powerful. Each word carried pain, hope, and longing. The audience fell completely silent. People leaned forward in their seats. Judges looked at each other in disbelief. As Daniel continued, his voice grew stronger. He navigated the melody flawlessly, hitting notes that even trained singers struggle with. But what shocked everyone most was the feeling behind the sound. It felt as if Daniel was not just singing a song, but telling his entire life story through music. Simon Cowell's confident posture slowly changed. He leaned forward, his face serious now, eyes locked on the stage. Halfway through the song, something unexpected happened. The music briefly cut out due to a technical issue. Gasps filled the theater. For a moment, it seemed like disaster. But Daniel did not stop. He kept singing, perfectly on pitch, without any instrumental support. His voice echoed through the hall, raw and unfiltered. The audience erupted into applause even before the song ended. The judges were visibly shaken. When the music returned, Daniel finished the song with a note so controlled and emotional that many in the crowd were wiping away tears. The final note faded, and for a split second, there was complete silence. Then the entire theater exploded into a standing ovation. People screamed, clapped, and cried. The judges stood as well, except Simon, who remained seated, staring at Daniel with a stunned expression. Finally, Simon stood up. He walked closer to the desk, took a deep breath, and spoke. He said he had heard thousands of singers over the years, but what he had just witnessed was something special. He admitted he did not expect that voice from such a young boy, and certainly not that level of emotional maturity. Simon said Daniel reminded him why he started doing this show in the first place. The audience cheered loudly. But the biggest twist was yet to come. Simon asked Daniel if he knew that his parents were watching from backstage. Daniel smiled, unaware of what was about to happen. Suddenly, the camera cut to his parents, standing there in tears. They had secretly been flown to America with help from the show. Daniel had no idea. When Simon told him, Daniel broke down crying on stage. The moment was overwhelming. The crowd cried with him. Then came the golden buzzer moment. One of the judges stood up and pressed it, sending golden confetti raining down. Daniel stood in the middle of it all, hands shaking, tears falling, completely overwhelmed. He could not see the gold around him, but he could hear the cheers, feel the vibrations, and sense that his life had just changed forever. Backstage interviews later revealed more twists. Daniel had never received formal vocal training. Everything he learned came from listening. He memorized songs by sound alone. Vocal coaches were stunned by his natural control. News outlets picked up his story overnight. He became a symbol of hope not just for blind children, but for anyone who felt limited by their circumstances. As the competition continued, Daniel faced new challenges. Critics questioned whether he could keep up the same level of performance. Some said the golden buzzer was given because of sympathy. Daniel heard these comments and felt discouraged. For the first time, self-doubt crept in. But with the support of his family and mentors, he returned to the stage stronger each time. In the semi-finals, Daniel chose an original song he had written himself, inspired by his journey. The lyrics spoke about darkness, fear, and finding light through sound. The performance was even more powerful than his audition. Simon Cowell, known for his honesty, said he believed Daniel could win the entire competition. By the time the finals arrived, Daniel was no longer just a contestant. He was a movement. Fans across America and the Philippines voted passionately. When the results were announced, Daniel did not win first place, but it did not matter. Record labels approached him immediately. Scholarship offers came in. Foundations promised support for his education and mobility training. The blind boy who once sang to calm stormy nights in a fishing village had now sung his way into the hearts of millions. His life was changed forever, and so were the lives of those who heard him. Simon Cowell later admitted in an interview that Daniel's audition was one of the most unforgettable moments in AGT history. Today, Daniel continues to sing, study music, and advocate for children with disabilities around the world. His story proves that talent does not see darkness, and dreams do not need sight to shine.